We are, what I told you about the slum housing, what I told you about that, I can solve the problem of all the slums. And we have already done the plans. It's not that I'm talking and I'm just claiming. There we have adopted tunnel forming so that in just 1.5 years, you can build the whole slum and give it back. We have done plans for Dharavi, how Dharavi can be wiped off in just 1.5 years. I was the person who went to the railways and got Dharavi, those 90 acres of plot extra, because I knew that, unless and until we have a place where we can do direct housing and not do transit and waste about 1,800 rupees. That 1,800 rupees into something like 1 lakh of units would be a colossal figure, and the whole scheme would not be working. So it is all of this time, money is the essence.
Very rightly said, sir. Time and money, they are very important, and the whole model has to be very dynamic, very flexible, so that it adopts, the whole design can adopt to the newer situations. WHO chief says post COVID, a new normal situation would emerge out of the world. New normal. Now, what is this new normal with respect to the real estate?
I had told you that maybe the new normal will be that what people, most of the people, in India are supposed to migrate 70% to the cities. That may not happen. It might be 50-50. A lot of people may stay in villages and work with IT, and or maybe that is not the case. The new normal situation would be that we have the drugs and we have the vaccines, and we start taking care of the look at the whole world as one village, because what is happening in China has affected the whole world. Now, what will happen in places like right now, it's like 60 square feet per person, uh, and a little bit lavish is 65, 70. Those criterias will definitely change. And why are those criterias? Those criterias are there because uh, it's finally boils down to money. If we find out a better way of construction, if the government makes norms much more simpler, or how much of money in every square foot the government gets, if government starts thinking that the building industry is not like the gutka industry or the tobacco industry, that it has to be flogged, and taxed. Uh, because they have been taxing, the building industry unilaterally. Everything of building industry, tax them. Now, all this reflects finally into a business. See, the worst thing for a building industry is you do say prices, there'll be people will start commenting it on it, in 1 week or 10 days. You take decision in any other field, take it law, take it, water, take it electricity, increase the prices of electricity, anything. Building industry is one thing, where for anybody to realize it and what are the effects, the earliest it takes is about 8 to 10 years. And that is what is because you increase the taxes of this. By the time the building gets done, by the time it gets reflected in your user, why it has come to 60 square feet? Never. Previously it was 100 and 110 when we first started doing the IT buildings. Then it started coming down, because they were not able to compete in the international market. The rent of the IT, this call centers. So it is all because of, I would say, the government policies.
Sir, one question on sustainability. We are used to design only and only, air conditioned buildings most of the times. There are cities where air conditioning is not required throughout the year. There are cities when you can do away with air conditionings for maybe 4 months to 6 months. Can we think this is a very intelligent question which addresses sustainability, because most of the buildings, they are energy guzzlers. The kind of electricity which they consume is enormous. Now it is very high time for real estate to design buildings which are, look into the aspect of sustainability also. So can would India think about designing buildings which are sustainable, which are based on the needs that they can be air conditioned when the thermal comfort levels are not there? They otherwise they can be on a cross ventilation mode. They can use a lot of natural light and those things. So would India post COVID think, because now the situations would become more and more challenging? So would real estate and the designers together would think of designing sustainable buildings?
Okay, now your question of sustainability is from an angle of 20 years back.
Hmm.
When you say that our buildings are energy guzzlers, okay, uh, at that time there was a problem of energy, oil, electricity. Yes, I will like to first answer that question. That yes, we can design buildings which are not energy guzzlers. Uh, like in the olden days, like say the office where I used to work. What was there in the office? There was a nice large veranda. People used to walk on the veranda and enter the office. Office had big, big doors. We never used to have any curtains or anything. The veranda was about 5, 6 feet deep. It had a nice 14 to 18 feet height. There were some small fans, which were just floating around, and there was beautiful cross ventilation, and nobody needed air conditioning. What started with that more and more spaces were needed, the veranda got enclosed. uh, they put sliding windows. The sliding windows started getting heated up, and then it started radiating heat inside, and then we started needing air conditioning. So it's first of all that we don't need her to design buildings where it has to be air conditioned. Okay, so that's first thing. But as far as sustainability is concerned, uh, today to me, sustainability is in a different way. Uh, Gone are those days when energy and oil is the only thing which I'm comparing sustainability with. Today, I look at it that if I have a plot of land which is 1 acre, and how am I designing a building? Uh, and in a country like India, where I have to house so many people, if I were to make an office building which is ground and one upper or ground and two upper, is it sustainable? I would say no. Acha, where on that same plot, if I were to make a building which is ground and 20, or consume 20 times the area, okay, is it sustainable? I would say that is much better, because I am uh, not only housing more amount of people, but I will free up some other area which I can leave it, where I can just grow trees, where I'm not going to encroach upon a wet body pond or something like that. To me, that is more sustainable, because how to use the land. Land is a precious commodity which cannot be manufactured, so you use it more effectively. Where cities are there, use it more effectively.
Akash,
Again, I have been muted. You are mute. Okay. Make denser cities, vertical dense cities, so that you have lot of place for forest and farm land. That is more sustainable. So I am looking at sustainability in that manner. I am looking at sustainability not with power and not with only glass facade and all that. I am looking at it how you use your concrete, how you use how much of surface area you have covered it. What is your FSI? Sustainability has gone much, much, much ahead. A lot of times, a lot of people come up and say, "Oh, we have this plot. There are 100 trees on the plot, and I want a green building, but cut all the trees because nobody was bothering at that time." No, how to retain those trees and do it? Then it is. We are doing one project in somewhere in Gujarat where there was something like so many thousands of trees. We designed the whole campus by just cutting 4 trees. Four trees. Okay. And we designed the whole campus. It's not that it cannot be done. Yes, it will be more expensive. But what is expense? When you are talking about environment, and when we are talking about environment, think about one more. It's a very old saying, an African saying, that you have inherited this world not from your forefathers, you have borrowed it from your grandkids. So, when you leave this earth, just think about, leave it thinking about your grandkids. ये बाप का जमीन नहीं है कि तुम कुछ भी करो, समझा? ये आपके बेटे लोग और बेटे लोग का जमीन है, तो उसको बराबर से केयर से करो. ठीक है साहब?
Very, very rightly said. I think, Sumit, we should ask some of our members over here. They can have some questions in their mind. So maybe Tarannum, you would like to ask something?
I think I am audible. Yeah. So when we talk about social distancing, so after this COVID, how do you think? What is your say about the public spaces? Are they going to be designed the same way, or the norms would change? What is your comment onto that, sir? I'm looking forward for that answer.
I am looking for see if you are going to have social distancing, I think it will be not a happy world to live in. If I meet somebody and I can't hug that person, I can't shake hand with him, and I can't say hi boss, and hug him. What the hell, is good for living. Uh, uh, we will find a way. We must have solution. There will be vaccines, and I want to live in a world which is a happy world where I meet people, talk to them, uh, smile, hug them, cajole them, and that is the way I would like to live. Not like with social distancing and all that. This is a very, very it's like God has punished us for so many months. I am sure God will pardon us and won't punish us further. I hope so. So I am not at all thinking about the social distancing at all. Not at all. Not at all. And that won't be the way world will live. Maybe everybody like how what they say abroad, that they are not bothered. They have opened up the cities. Okay, they say that so many people will die. Afterwards, everybody will be immune to it, and everything will be okay. So maybe that might be the stand. So I don't know, but the social distancing, no way.
Thank you, sir.
Sumit, is there somebody from Jito who wants to ask any question?
I think we had a wonderful session. Sir, can you just ask general public who have joined us to raise their hand and ask couple of questions, just max 2 or 3 questions.
Somehow
if anyone from the audience wants to ask.
I'm not able to see the hands on my PC. I don't know why. So Uh,
We have some people. I am adding Miss Swati Chiplunkar. She has raised hand.
uh, no, it's not visible on my PC.
Swati, Shrikant, and Smriti. Any one of you can ask the questions. We have unmuted all three of you.
Hi, Mr. Hafeez. I'm
Yes, sir.
Shrikant here.
Haji, Haji.
Uh, you had said that don't use wood.
I didn't get your question, sir.
Yeah, in your speech, you said we should use less of wood and more of new products. So I think there are a lot of FS certified forest where the wood won't be depleted, and it's more 100% biodegradable, more closer to human being. So what's the other option you're talking about?
Uh, See, there was a time when all wooden door frames and window frames were always wood. Now we are doing, we hardly use wood. We just use some little bit of an architect, and that's also, yeah. So I'm not having absolute right solutions, but there are many more materials which can be used instead of wood in the normal circumstances. Yes, for decorative purposes, where we are having veneers, but now with color we get the same kind of a quality unless and until one is told that oh, this is a veneer and this is a laminate. You don't understand, but you don't even realize it. The same thing goes with marble. So I'm saying that we should use certain things which are not going to really hamper the nature. Uh, Once reach to a level that the earth has so much of square kilometers of forest land, and once that is there, then yes, okay, we can start using more wood. Now, this is my way of looking at it. A lot of people who do a lot of interiors would say that, oh, this is a crazy idea. Without using wood, how can we do any interiors? But we have been doing not without using absolute wood, but we do use particle boards and things like that, and we carry on.
Okay, Sumit, I think we will take last two questions. One
Yes,
is
we
from
have
Smriti Malhotra. I can see Smriti, her hand is raised. And then final question maybe from Rakhi Takle. I can also see her online. And Smriti, you can address your question now.
Yeah, hi sir. This is Smriti. I run a metal design house in the capital, and sir, we do a conglomeration of art with functional design. We use a lot of metal like brass, copper, and I'm sure a lot of designers are using that by casting, etc. Now, my question is: do you think post-COVID we should alter our offerings as more affordable offering, or it shall you think remain unaffected? Though we all know that we are coming back to the basics.
See, certain segment of people, what you're talking about, that you do art pieces and other things, with metal and stuff like that. Now, that kind of a thing is not for a very common person. That's for some of the upper class. So that I don't see anything getting affected over there. But if you are making your and which is accepted.
So, Sumit, we can take this last question from Rakhi Takle. She is sir from Nasik, and she is a senior architect in Nasik. Rakhi, can you put your question now?
Yes. Good evening, Architect Hafeez. It's pleasure to hear you. And you have already, I had put this question quite at the beginning, and you have already answered most of it about what would your opinion be about the development priority that should be encouraged in the post-COVID times. You have answered that. However, I would like to listen from you that how can we contribute to making the right priorities being addressed and is this the right time for projects like the Central Vista to be encouraged? I'd appreciate your opinion on this, sir. Thank you.
Madam, there is something like that, if the case is in court or something like that, or if you are a part of it, you don't comment on it. I don't know the exact term. If, so I would say that uh, uh, you want to spoil my evening.
Sir, I'm sure after listening to your genuine view, architects, our fraternity would gather some courage to voice our concerns.
Okay, now you're instigating me too much, so I'll answer it. See, I don't know whether you've seen my presentation, what I have presented. Okay. Now, first of all, we were shortlisted just 1 week before. Previously, we were said we are not getting shortlisted because of this and that and that and that. So we were shortlisted 1 week before. Uh, we took each and every care of it. I did not want a single tree to be uprooted. I did not want a single, uh, uh, you know, then the vista to be destroyed. And when we are talking about uh, some building, and we are not talking about an ordinary building, when we are talking about anything which is done in a history, that building should talk and take the history further. That is, this was built in this time, and this was built in this time. And that's how the future generation will talk about the history of a city. And that's how the buildings represent and dictates the history. So if you look at our design, what we thought of and what we had, we took the clue from our Prime Minister. I don't know whether you've seen my presentation.
I have.
So what I started with, that I don't remember the words of our Prime Minister. I took one of his lecture, and he says that the world has to see what India is coming to. We have to build a new India. And to me also, I am an absolute believer in India. I'll tell you a story about when I was going abroad to study. And when I went for my visa, the American consulate guy saw me and he's looking at me in my eyes and saying, you will never come back. So I said, sir, I know your country is a great country, a beautiful country, but I love my country and I'll come back. And do you know, after graduation, when did I come back? I graduated in the afternoon and I caught a plane in the night, that same night, because I knew that if I stay in America for one more day, it's such a beautiful country, it's such a great country, I will never come back. So, but I came back. So what I did, I wanted to create India, the biggest democracy. It's the biggest, it's what more than the biggest democracy. So we had designed like a star, which anyone and everyone in the world will talk about it and say, oh my God, what a building. Okay. They wanted all the buildings to be in sandstone and all that it should merge with the old buildings. That's not correct. See, that's not how you respect your heritage. Okay. Now, today in your family, there might be grandfathers, grandmothers. Okay. The way I'm getting to your hairstyle, your grandmother must not be having the same hairstyle. She must be having a what is it called? That
bun, chuda
at the back.
Yeah.
to respect your grandmother, you don't have to do that. You have to have your own identity. You have to look more beautiful. You have to have, and the same thing goes with the city. You are wearing, I don't know what kind of cloth you're wearing, but your grandmother must be wearing a simple cotton cloth with some small prints or something like that. That's what, the whole, all the old people were wearing. She must be wearing a sari. You're wearing a t-shirt or something like that. So but you respect your grandmother. Huh? And the whole thing, and that forms a great family. Okay, but if you were to also be like that Judy and all that, and everybody will say that okay, bekar family hai, kuch kuch मालूम नहीं है क्या होता है वहाँ. Do you want your city to be like that? You have to respect heritage, but at the same time, you have to go forward and design things which are going to be known and talked about for another 100 years. But you don't have to repeat that. That's why we designed what we designed. But we never got the job. So, okay, fine. There are millions of other things, I've forgotten. You're making me remember it.
I'm sorry, but good. We got to hear from you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, one last question. We are continuously getting a pop-up from our JPF Director in Charge, Ravi Jainji. He wants your opinion on how do you look at real estate as an investment at this point of time?
I think it's I would say that there are many better things to invest in, right? If you have invested in real estate to sell, and if I can't get money, I don't think that's a good investment. So, and since last, but I can't be dishonest. I don't want to advise anybody.